Hi everybody, thank you so much for joining us on another episode. If you do not know who I am, please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Peter. My family and I have made the decision to pack everything up here in Calgary, Alberta and move all the way across the country to the beautiful town of Port-aux-Basques on the southwest coast of Newfoundland to restore a 125-year-old historic home that used to be the original Customs House. So today we have a very special interview with Art Anderson. So a little bit of a history lesson. The first family to occupy the Customs House was the Pike family. And then when it became a private residence, the first family to move in were the Andersons in 1944. So today's sit-down interview with Art Anderson will share some of the history of the house, some of the changes that have been made to the house, and what it was like growing up in this old Customs House up at the top of the hill overlooking the port of Port-aux-Basques. Also stick around to the very end because I promise I have a very special surprise, a shout out to a subscriber, believe it or not, and a tale of the hospitality, spirit, and generosity of the people of Newfoundland. This would happen nowhere else, I promise you, but in Newfoundland. So make sure you stick around to the very end to hear that wonderful story. Enjoy today's episode.
So that old house, I tell you, buddy, I got a lot of memories. You know, where we used to have the sheep up there, and now on the back, up close to the bank, there was a big barn, not a garage, a place where they used to keep stuff to, like, you know, their vegetables and
Okay, yeah.
And up that there's a little smaller garage there now. That was there when I left in 1956 when I got married.
Okay.
At 58 I got married. Yeah. So we stayed there then, like, you know, up until that time.
So how old were you when you moved into the house?
I was 6 years old.
Six.
There, on my birthday.
November 20th, 1945?
1944.
1944,
Yeah.
okay.
That was November month.
And then you left home
In 1958.
58 when you got married.
When I got married, yeah.
Okay.
And back then, when you got married, you took your bed, your mattress. Some of them had what you call a feather mattress and feather pillows and that.
Yeah.
You took all that with you. But you paid your board from the first day you worked until the last day you moved out.
Okay.
Yeah. And there was boarders in there besides. Took all kinds of boarders.
Okay.
We had one feller when they done the Carson dock over there. He was from Ukraine, and the other old fellow was from Russia.
Okay.
They did all of the blasting, so you can imagine how much that was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And many rocks down to the Carson dock. And I worked on the Carson dock myself back in 1952. I went to work when I was about 1951.
Okay.
Come out of school, grade 8, and you didn't need education to work on the wharf. As long as you could read your name and know where the bag of mail was going and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Real. The difference today when I look around me, and I got one thing going for me. I got a good memory.
I was just going to tell that.
I got a good memory.
I got a wonderful memory.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. I got some old pictures.
Yeah.
I don't know if I was down to see Nadine Osmond down at Town Hall.
Okay.
And she was kind enough to share some pictures. I'm just going to show the camera which picture I'm showing you here.
Okay.
So there's that one there, and that's out in somebody's dory out in the port, the old port, where it's filled in now.
Well, that's the Carson dock here.
Yeah.
No. But this place here is Job's Fish Plant.
Okay.
I worked in there as well. Elsie's father worked in there.
Yeah, my father worked in
He was an engineer.
Yeah.
And he's out into a rowboat there, yeah.
Yeah. You can see the house up on the hill.
Yeah, now that's the top story.
That's right.
Now, the only way you get up there today, are they looking for the pictures today? Up in the attic?
Yeah, so I don't know if you'd seen the video this morning.
I don't need
show
to.
you.
No.
I know them all.
Yeah, okay. So
Yeah.
there was two photos up in the attic along with a wreath
Yeah.
for a James Kendall Pike who
Yeah,
passed at the age of 29
Yeah.
on December the 21st, 1915.
Okay, yeah.
And so that wreath was up in a shadow box up in the
yeah,
attic
yeah.
that we found. And then there was two framed photographs
Yeah.
of two gentlemen. I'm assuming one of them was Frank Pike or Francis Pike and James Kendall Pike.
Okay, yeah, all right. Well, Frank Pike I know because I found his dog one time. He lost his dog. And I found his dog. And he was just about dead. And he gave me $10 back then. And
Yeah.
that was a lot of money.
That-
But he had lots of
absolutely.
money.
Yeah,
He
okay.
had lots of money. Yeah. That was a long time. Now, there was also should be a picture up there of Queen Victoria. But there was a picture up there in the house. I don't know if he's still there or not. In the hallway, before you goes up the steps, to the right, there was a big picture. He was about 8 foot long, or frame, about 8 foot long and about 4 foot high. Is that still up inside the wall?
Was it of a boat?
The new boat.
Yeah.
What's her name? They had a picture. What's the name of the stadium?
Bruce
Bruce.
too.
Okay,
The
yeah.
original Bruce. Is that still up
That's
now?
still up in the house. Yeah.
Imagine.
Yeah.
Imagine. I looked at your the pictures that you had up.
Hmm.
There's some work was done in that house. When you goes in through the door in the porch, it's different.
Yeah.
The kitchen, there was no cupboards in there.
No, yeah. And we know the kitchen has been changed because
Changed.
the ceiling is now lower and it used to be, would have been
well,
10
it
foot.
was all 10-foot ceilings in
Yeah.
there. One of the pictures I can see of that was my mom and sister up on a scaffold, washing down them ceilings with a bucket and a scrub brush, all varnish, everything. Work. See, I still remember the sweat along the top part of her lip, eh?
Yeah,
And she worked slave. I didn't call them people; they were slaves.
yeah.
You talk about colored people being slaves. They were slaves back then. Yeah. Now, going up them steps, right at this end, there was an oil stove. Right to the right part of the big living room.
Yeah.
That's where he'd go at noon hour for after having his lunch, for to have his nap. At the same time, over across the way where you see Marine Atlantic there now,
Yeah,
where they see them got the trailers parked to,
yeah, yeah.
the fellow by the name of Norse Cousins was doing the blasting over there. So, and the drilling and everything. So noon hour, that's when he'd sit the blast off. There was a 7-pound rock come from all the way over there,
Jeez.
come up through, into the window. Now this was the day he didn't go in for his nap. And pitched in a pillow and chopped the pillow half in two,
Wow.
and one up stuck in the wall.
Jeez.
So that was another thing, eh? And we just took that for granted, like, you know, oh, that was no big news. But it would have been if they chopped his fucking ear off.
Yeah, it would have been front page news for sure.
And don't mind me if I use the word iffy.
No, you go right ahead. You be you.
I'm trying to teach her. The basement, there was no basement under that house. The house, 4-story house, was resting on a piece of railway iron, a railway track. That's always keeping that house up.
Wow.
And then, for to get the sand, there's a place down the coast called Butter Harbor. And one of the merchants used to bring their freight down from the old pier in this motorboat. So Pop boarded the motorboat. We went down and filled it full of sand
Yeah.
and dragged it up by the wharf, the old pier,
Okay.
and lifted it up and put it into a pickup and took it up and carried it up that path.
Jeez.
That's what's in the basement.
Yeah. Okay.
Two cartmans onto it. Then they took off the top roof at one time.
Yes.
And it was that house, it was something else. It was too bad that it wouldn't in its original state, because I can tell you there was everything in that house. He was a customs officer, but he ended up being a millionaire. Because back in them days when we were under England, that's we were on our own over there, they used to bring over coal, the coal boats, fishing vessels, full of coal. But they had to come in and tie up to the old wharf where the customs office was. They were gods back in them days. That his son down below the hill was Frank Pike. That was his son. He used to sell beer, and he was customs officer too. We were married for it'd be 67 years.
Wow.
Coming.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I still remember when I got married, and it's been working a long time. But for the story now, in where they got all the new covers and everything too.
Yeah.
They had what he calls a dumbwaiter.
Yeah. Okay.
That was for taking, I guess, their breakfast up, because they had serve girls, eh?
Maids.
Yeah. So was that the third floor? Is that?
Yeah, that would be the third floor.
Okay. Okay.
Because the top one, that's where they slipped to, the maids.
Yeah.
There were 7 rooms up there,
Wow.
and they were all varnished, everything.
Okay.
All the door facings, the doors, was varnished.
So how long was the home in your family? How long were your parents in
Oh,
the
well,
home?
we moved there in 1944, and he sold a house to the Tillys.
Alvin Tilly, yeah.
Geez, what year was that? Well, Mom was down in St. John's with cancer treatment, wasn't she?
Yeah.
And when we moved all the stuff from that house down to the house below the hill, that used to belong to old Mark, Frank Pike,
Okay.
his son.
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
but it caught a fire
Oh.
and burned out. And well, there, George Pike, that was living there at that time with his wife, who was my school teacher back when I was going to school, and a son and a daughter. The daughter still living. The son died there, probably 7 or 8 months ago.
Yes.
What was his name? So they brought the kids down up in the house. So we took off down. I did. I only had on a whole jacket, a sports jacket. And when I went down, George Spike the roof was like that, and he was stuck on the side of that roof. I went over and beat out the window and took his daughter out. Then was only a baby. She wasn't very old. And he was coming along this roof and with nothing on his feet. So he got over to the balcony that was there, and that's where I was to, with this jacket on. And he passed her to me, and when I took her to my chest so I could get where I wanted to go, to where my brother was down on the patio,
Yeah.
her skin came off on mine.
Oh, jeez.
And so I passed her down over the roof, and they took off with her down to the old hospital then, but she was in the hospital for a nice while. Frank, the young fellow was named Frank.
Yes, was also Frank.
When
yes.
when they brought him up the house, he was just like a little colours fur. All you could see was his round eyes and his teeth. Yeah, and everything else was all soot. Eh? But however he got them 2 kids out of that was, you would think it was impossible.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that burned down, because I have seen a picture
Yeah.
right lower down towards the front of the boat,
Yes.
where the front of the boat is now.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
had seen the old house. I often wondered what had happened to
Oh
it.
yeah, yeah. Well, see, that always was big garrets on the front, the windows. They had big garret windows. They go around like that.
That's an old one there. Just show for the camera. That's an old. That's before.
Yeah.
That would have been, I believe, at the time, the Pike House, and then the Station House, which I think is, I've often heard people refer to it as the Bennett House.
Okay,
I'm
that's on the other
actually,
side.
yeah, I'm going to see Charles Bennett
Yeah.
on my way back into Calgary, actually.
There used to be a fellow lived in there by the name of A.B. Lowe. and he had a daughter. That's all he had. Joan Hall. Went to school with her.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, this place here, this was army building.
Army barracks, yeah.
That was there when we moved up there. Over there was a place where the Salvation Army used to own, and any armed forces people there stayed there probably. This is where they used to eat to.
Okay.
Who was took over afterwards by the railway, where the engineers used from out of town in Cornerbrook and place all across Newfoundland used to sleep to and eat to, and they cook for themselves. Yeah, and we had a well up there for drinking water.
Okay.
See?
So is that all dirt at the back of the house, or because
yeah.
we're wondering if there's rock there? Because in Newfoundland you scrape 2
Yes.
inches and you hit rock, right?
There's some earth there. We used to keep that rake down, keep it cleaned up. See?
Okay.
And Pop would get really proud of you if you wouldn't done that on your own. Well, he's alive. Look, he works too, so we'd be glad of that. But
so you used to go up on the other side of the house to get up to the back.
Yeah. Now all this here is gone now. See? Look.
Yeah, they
Oh,
blasted
God,
that all away and
My son,
filled it
them
in.
and talked them and
Well, it was funny. I was down in the basement today because stuff has happened in the basement. Things have been changed in the basement over the years.
Yeah. But what kind of shape is the basement in now? The concrete.
The concrete is in really good shape.
Is it?
Some of the concrete I was just sweeping up in there today, and some of the concrete, just that top layers kind of come off, but it's in really good shape. On the driveway side, there's been some deteroration on the driveway side. There's some pretty big cracks happening there, so that'll have to be repaired.
That's
but
right, I was thinking it was made with salt water. See. And well, you know, salt water and concrete,
that's
sand
right.
is not going to mix.
But shockingly, it's done very, very well. Probably would outlast any concrete you'd pour today, I'm sure.
Well, we had 2 good carpenters on that.
That's 1947, that one was.
Yeah.
And
Now, that's the old roof on that one up there.
That's right, yeah. You can see the old roof, the mansard roof. Yeah.
Now this was Portabass back in my day. Look, and we used to have to walk to school from up to that house over to right by the church over there, a mile exactly.
Okay.
4 times a day.
Wow.
You put a cap on your head and a scarf around your mouth so you wouldn't smother, push you out through the door. Now, we had to walk all the way over there with the girls from the other families, sometimes coming back in the night time. Well, that's stormy. That we had to put their head up under our coat so they wouldn't suffocate. Because we have our mom always have our scarf around across up here. And look at it there today. Look, now that was my world back then.
There's a lot of snow.
A lot of snow. Never had no tractors or nothing at all.
No, and we were when I talked to Nadine Osmond, she was wondering how that would have been plowed or
No, it wouldn't have been plowed, but with shovels.
Yeah, that's all the pictures that I was able to get from Nadine.
I got a lot more.
So sorry, you were saying that there was a wraparound.
Yeah, there was a veranda right from the front around to the right side of the house, right around. You could walk right around, and that's where we used to spend a lot of time too.
Yeah, okay.
See? And parties. We used to have good parties too. See?
I bet there's been a few kitchen parties for sure.
Yeah, Christmas time.
So the roof was changed when you lived in the house then? That's when the basement was done? That was all done at the same time?
That was done first, you see.
Okay.
See? Yeah, that was, I said that was about 1950 when that was done.
Okay.
Somewhere around there. Yeah.
Yeah, because that picture, this one being 1947, we know the roof was still there.
Yeah.
So obviously it was just an unused space probably at that point.
That's right. Oh yeah.
And there would have been a tremendous cost to put something like that back.
Oh yeah. But my father was always at something. He was always at something.
And so the dining room So that was just off the kitchen.
Yeah.
That would have had a coal burning, or was that a wood burner in the...
No, there was nothing in there.
Oh, okay.
No, because they eat from the kitchen at that time. So the house was warm in a lot of ways, because all that we had in the hallway going upstairs was an oil stove.
Okay.
And there was enough heat from that going upstairs.
Yeah.
That it was warm. And then, well, you had lots of clothes, big clothes in that. Hey,
Yeah.
filler mattresses and all that kind of stuff.
And then the living room, did that have... There was no
No.
fireplace down on the main floor.
All was there was a wood stove.
Okay.
But now there was a big furnace downstairs, down in the basement.
Okay.
Used to burn wood and coal.
Okay.
See?
And so how would that have pipes going to the rest of the house?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if they're still there now or not.
Well, there's right now we still got an oil. So the realtor photos of the very first video we put on, I just had the photos. I hadn't seen inside the house at that point. There was an oil tank at the back porch outside.
Outside.
That's been taken out.
Okay.
And the oil stove in the kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
That was taken out. So that was taken out prior to July of last year.
Yeah.
Right now it's just got the oil furnace down in the basement, and I
Okay.
would say that's probably 80s, 90s oil furnace.
Is that
with a
big ladder on the back?
Sorry?
The big ladder is still on the back. Wooden ladder.
No.
He was there for years.
Oh,
See,
okay.
because we used to paint the roof. Because that was rubberized film.
Oh.
Was on that.
Okay.
And we painted that with a brush.
Oh, okay.
Red, I think it was. I don't know what it is now.
And what about the color of the house?
But no.
Was it many colors in the time that you remember?
No. Now I tell you, when the house was bought, it was all shingles onto it.
Okay.
24-inch shingles.
Okay.
All the shingles was tore off, and some of the windows was tore out on the front, the big garret windows, and it was done over then with clapboard.
Okay.
So Pop done that himself. I helped him a little bit one time, and he put all of the clapboard on, done with linseed oil.
Okay, yeah.
Now that sunk into the clapboard, and then it was painted. I guess yellow then, same as what it is now. But I think Tilly was the one that put the siding on.
Yeah.
So that's what's there now.
So the house was yellow. The windows were what color?
It seems white, I guess.
White?
Yeah.
Okay.
Big windows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. There's another one that's in the 80s, sometime in the 80s. But it's funny to see how that hill has changed and the port's filled in.
Yeah. No. These houses are still there.
Yeah.
There used to be two houses over up the side of the hill.
Oh, where the war memorial was?
Yeah, up past
Okay.
past that. They moved up the same time as we did. A fellow by the name of Doug Ann. He had 3 daughters, and that's who we went to school with. And they had one part of the house turned into a restaurant.
Okay.
That's when the Portuguese boats used to come here and all that kind of stuff. And we go up there on a Sunday dancing and all that, teenagers, right? Me and Elsie and them.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they changed the road, they tore them two down.
Oh,
See?
okay.
And they tore the monument out of it.
Yeah.
But all these houses are still there.
Yeah.
And the graveyard right there. Yeah. It took a long time to do that. Now that was all water and air as well.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. And the train certainly.
So the third floor didn't have like a widow's walk or a widow's watch up top. It
No.
was all closed in.
Yeah, but all closed in.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we got up to the. We went up in the attic and the stairs going up to the attic, and then we've got like the rafter is right on your head when you go up the stairs. So
That's where you was put to when you done something wrong.
yeah, okay, fair enough.
It
was creepy.
But I really look forward to one day to get up in that house and just have a look at it.
Well, and if for some reason if you're able to go up, if I'm not here or Bill hasn't made it,
Yeah.
My daughter's up at the house, and
Yes,
so
yeah.
I'll make sure
Well,
that she
sooner
turns
go-
on her camera.
Yeah, I sooner go up where she's to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask about because as I've been looking around the house, obviously there's all kinds of different linoleum on the floor, the bathroom. I lifted up some of the linoleum in the bathroom, and there's 3 different layers
Yeah,
of
that's
linoleum there.
Yeah, sure.
Was it did you have canvas laid down, or was it just bare floor?
No canvas.
It was all canvas
Yeah.
everywhere. Okay.
Yeah. Because
Because
I mean that house was top notch, right, in Port Bass.
Right.
There used to be another one over there where the fish plant was too, on the same model, with the guard windows and everything. It used to be years ago. That was owned by rich people too, eh? Yeah. But they tore that house down for some reason or other.
I've heard so many stories of so many of these old houses being torn down,
Well,
and I know Cabot House. I was here 2014, and I hadn't been back for 10 years, and when we came back this summer in July, I was, what happened to the Cabot House?
It's a sin.
It
A lot of
is a
history in that
sin.
house there too.
Yeah, that's a sin, and it's a shame that some of these old houses have gotten torn down. We're so blessed to have been able to save this one
That's right.
from its demise. So we'll certainly try to do it justice and bring it back to life. The entrance into the dining room and the living room don't have any doors anymore.
No.
But it looks like there was doors hung there.
Yeah.
All the woodwork and everything seems
Tilly must
to...
have changed that. Because
Yeah.
all the doors were there when I left it.
And I haven't found any... I did get out into the shed a couple of days ago.
Yeah, that's who painted it. Tilly painted the doors and everything.
They must have.
Yeah,
So
when I left it was all varnished.
Okay, so and I was going to ask that question. All of the ceilings would have been like the living room and the dining room.
Everything, yeah.
Yeah. So
Everything was varnished.
Okay.
The door facings, the window facings, inside, it was all varnished.
Yeah.
All dark varnish.
I did get up into a couple of the rooms where I was able to. There was a little fleck of paint that's come off, and I picked off a little bit more, and it's all the same woodwork that's down in the dining room and living room.
But you're living, I want to make this statement before you go.
Mm-hmm.
You're living into the best place in the world. Not in Canada, in the world.
I think so too.
You can, the people elect you for what you are, a person. Nothing else matters.
You see the spirit of people in kind of everyday life. Like I think when it snows here, it's a community event. It's not just one person clearing their driveway. You're doing your neighbors, and everybody's helping everybody.
Sometimes there used to be 4 or 5 out in my driveway.
Art never does the driveway.
Not now. I can't do it. I could do it, I suppose. Yeah, when I clear it off a bit, and you might mention it to your daughter, even as late as then. But I want to go up the old house. I want to see the ends because there's things that I can picture that you'd never believe it. I mean, I could go up there and open the door and go in, close my eyes and blindfold me, and I could go right through the house, even up in the attic.
Original to the house.
There was a lot of. There was also a lot of cast iron sewer pipe in that house. I think it was all cast iron one time.
And I think a lot of that's been taken out.
And up in the bathroom upstairs, there was a well up beside the hill that we used to have the pump this big tank full of water, right?
Okay.
For a flush the toilet.
Yeah.
Then we got an electric pump.
Okay.
But now you're hooked up to the town water.
That's right. Yeah.
And the town sewer line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So whereabouts was the well?
All right. Well, you notice where you goes into the back door.
Yeah.
To the right, up beside the hill.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you're looking at the hill, it would have been on the left or
On
the
the
right?
left, if you're
On the
looking at the hill,
left,
on the
okay.
left, yeah. Now, I don't know, there wouldn't be no wood left around, and that well probably fell in.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because it would be a bad place for kids, eh?
Well, and I had the opportunity to talk to Alistair Tilley,
Yeah.
and I asked about going up the top of the hill, was there a path? And he's like, oh yeah, when we were kids, we,
Yeah.
just from going up it so many times, made a path.
But we used to come right from over to school, come up, go up the side of the mountain, or the hill, and come on to the top and come down over.
Okay.
But we were in some shape, I'll tell you,
Yeah.
me and my brother. I'll tell you, we had no trouble go upside that hill.
Wow, that must be spectacular views from up
Was it
there.
ever?
Yeah, I really do appreciate you,
Oh yeah,
doing this. This is fantastic.
I
'Cause
got a lot of knowledge.
we really want to pay tribute to everybody that's lived in the house,
Yeah,
from
yeah.
the Pikes to the Andersons
Yeah.
to the Tilleys. Was there any?
You made it to the end of the interview. Thank you so much. And very, very special thank you to Mr. Art Anderson for not only sharing all this wonderful information, so we have record of what changes were made to the house over the years, but for offering to sit down on camera. So thank you very much, Mr. Anderson. Greatly appreciate it. I'm also going to throw a picture up on the screen, and this gives you a really good idea of what the house looked like when Mr. Anderson lived in the house. So after the changes were made to the third floor and some of the other structures that obviously needed to be replaced or repaired. So it gives you a really good idea. I want you to also make note of that other house in the frame. You'll see that was the station house for the Newfoundland Railway. And I have a little story that I have to share with everybody because it's fantastic. So while I was in Port aux Basques, because I'm in Calgary right now, but while I was in Port aux Basques, somebody reached out to me on social media, a lovely gentleman by the name of Charles, and Charles made me an offer that I couldn't refuse. So first of all, Charles let me know that he lived in the house next door, and anybody who's traveled to Newfoundland knows that some of the challenges of getting out of Newfoundland can be challenging first thing in the morning. Flights out of Deer Lake usually leave in the wee hours of the morning, 4:30, all the way up until about 6 a.m. in the morning in order to make connections in Montreal and Toronto. So Charles, having known this, reached out to me and offered to give me a place to stay the night before my flight because I did fly out at 5:10 a.m. So as crazy as that sounds, making friends with somebody on the internet and then going to stay at their house, only in Newfoundland, and I took him up on his offer. And so he was so gracious to put me up for the night. And believe it or not, that was February 13th that I actually met up with Charles, and we chatted about what it was like living in the house. He grew up with the Tilley family and so knew the Tilley family really well. And so we sat and talked for hours, and he shared all kinds of fantastic stories. But believe it or not, because of really bad weather, my flight was canceled and pushed to the following day. So I had to crash Charles and his wife Karen. I had to crash their party, their Valentine's party. But amazing people, like this doesn't happen anywhere else but in Newfoundland. The hospitality, absolutely fantastic. And so a very special thank you to both Karen and Charles for letting me crash your Valentine's Day. I did eventually get out. I had a couple of challenges in Toronto, but did eventually get back home on the 15th, believe it or not. So yeah, it did take a couple of days to get home, but that wouldn't have been possible without Charles and Karen. So thanks, you guys. Thank you so much, and look forward to seeing you again. I hopefully look forward to seeing everybody else who's watching today. I hope I get to see you again. If you enjoyed today's content, give me a thumbs up. Just hit that like button. It's really easy, just a simple click. And if you haven't subscribed already, why? Why have you not subscribed? Please subscribe for me. Help grow the channel so we can let everybody follow along on this crazy, epic journey as we renovate and restore this 125-year-old house back to its grand days. So follow along and find out what happens.